Welcome back to the Self-Esteem and Confidence Mindset podcast with me, Johnny Pardo. Today, I welcome back Misty to the show, where we're going to be talking about self-confidence, purpose in business and life, and much, much more. So, a quick introduction to Misty. So, Misty is a wife, mother, entrepreneur, real estate investor, and business and mindset coach who is extremely passionate about helping other women build lives and businesses filled with passion, positivity, and purpose. She has the honor and privilege of coaching and mentoring close to 200 women through a Mindset Matters REI program, her Master Your Mindset community and mastermind, and one-to-one coaching. She wakes up every day with gratitude in her heart that her job is to walk beside and support these incredible and brave women build lives and businesses they love and are damn proud of. So, Misty, welcome back to the show again. Great
Thank
to,
you so much.
yeah, great to
Excited to
have,
be back.
yeah, great to have you here. So, yeah, if the listeners are new to you and they don't know you so much, yeah, it'd be really obviously shared a little bit of your story there and a bit about you. What gets you so like you're a very busy woman. I'm so impressed. Like all these things you're juggling, right? Your mother as well now since we last spoke. You know,
Mhm.
your wife got personal and a very busy personal and professional life. But what ultimately has driven you to like serve women so much to find like businesses they love?
Mhm. Well, I think it's exactly what you just said about being busy. I don't know one woman, I mean, I think person in general, probably, how are you? Oh, I'm so busy, right? It's like an automatic response. And so, especially women, because we wear so many hats, you just feel like your life is kind of in constant, just like you're juggling, it's a juggling act or just kind of constant overwhelm. And I actually, it's funny that you say like you're so busy you have, I actually don't feel busy.
Mm.
Like I feel in alignment, I feel intentional, I feel productive. And so it's very rare anymore. This used to happen constantly before I did all the mindset work that I did, but it's very rare that I have days where I feel overwhelmed or anxious or juggling a million different things.
Mm.
And it's amazing. It's so rewarding. It's joyful. It's like calming. It's peaceful. That doesn't mean there aren't a million different things going on at one time, because there are. But I've really learned how to calm my mind and really also learned how to be very intentional in my businesses so that I can focus on what I need to be focusing on and not doing all the things. And then also when I'm present with my daughter and my husband, that I'm truly present and not thinking about all the things in the business or all the things I need to be doing, or should be doing or whatever. So it's taking that busyness and that feeling of being busy and helping women remove it to create lives and businesses that are more productive and that they can be more intentional about and more purposeful about to bring them more joy. And what happens is when we focus on what I like to call focusing on purpose over profit, the profit actually comes a hell of a lot easier. So not only are you more calm in the day to day, but you're making more money. So who doesn't want to put that on repeat, repeat, repeat every day? I know I do. So that's really why I've started doing the coaching. In the beginning, it was to teach other women how to invest in real estate. But now it's so much bigger than that. It's about creating businesses that they love. It's not about creating another job for them and more things on the to-do list. It's really about creating a business they love doing, that they're proud of sharing to the world with friends, with family members, and to create more time freedom for them to spend more time with their family, go on trips, like create lives that they actually want to live. So that's really like I guess the meaning behind, or the motivation, there we go, the motivation behind the type of coaching that I do. It's so much more than building businesses. It's really building lives that you're just like so excited to wake up every day and tackle, you know. So still got all the things going on, but it just doesn't feel like that. So yeah.
I love how you redefined like what kind of I was sort of talking, use the word busy and what it means. You know, you don't actually feel that, and living that life and helping other people do it. So yeah, like, and not just like focusing on the profit. Admittedly, like it's something I've been working through as well. You know, trying to focus on what's like more aligned, more purposeful as well for me during my life. And I think you know, if there are quite a lot of ways to make money out there, right? I personally don't think when I look on the internet, there's a shortage of ways to make money, whether that's real estate, whether that's doing like e-commerce or starting some kind of business, right? But if someone's like really, I know it's like a bit of work, you would work with someone in particular. If someone's really looking to create a more purposeful life, they're like, what is it to me? Like, is there anywhere they can start? Because there's a very busy, noisy world out there, right? Telling us what we should and shouldn't do.
I love that question because I think most people wander through life without a purpose. I think they wake up every day because they have to. They go to work every day because they have to. They get married because that's what people do. They have children because that's what people do. You know, they retire, they die. I mean, I really think when you ask somebody what the purpose is of the business that they're creating, the relationship that they're in, the life that they want, most people won't know how to answer that. And I will tell you, I was 100% one of those people. And that was the scariest thing. The scariest moment to me was when I actually attended my first Kaizen mastermind. And I was faced with, I have no idea why I'm doing what I'm doing and who I am and what I want, purpose, right? It was, well, I'm good at this, so I should do that. Or I know this, so I should, you know, teach that or whatever. This is how I make money. It was not, there was no real purpose behind it. And so and I actually went for a while still wondering that and trying to understand it. And it wasn't until I started working with my current one-on-one coach, Ashley Abramson, which we both know and met through, you know, through being part of a program and
On
community.
podcast guest as well.
Yes, yes, yeah, she's amazing. She really helped me start to build a relationship with myself. That is how you figure out your purpose. We do not take time to truly understand ourselves on a deep level. So, how are we to know what our purpose is? How are we to know why we're setting the goals that we're setting? Why we have the vision that we have? Is it because that's what society told us we should have? Is it because that's what your mom and dad told you you should do? Is it because you don't know any other way? So this is the way, you know? When we really take the time to understand ourselves, love ourselves, and trust ourselves, the purpose of why we are meant to be on this earth and what we're meant to do and be, and it just like flows out of you. It's so crazy. And then when that happens, if you try to focus on only profit in your business, it's like, oh, like it's literally a butting of the heads. It's so conflicted. It's so uncomfortable. It's like, what the hell is going on? And it actually makes it more difficult for you to make money. And so when you just focus on the purpose and just whatever that is, right? Like for me, it's like I just want to empower women. I want to shine my light and those that feel it and want it and you know want more of that and want to be empowered and build really just purposeful, intentional lives and businesses, like they are gravitated to me. I'm not going out there and saying, oh, I have to sign this many up, you know, this many women up for my group, or I have to have this many one-on-one clients, or I have to have this many real estate properties in my investment portfolio. It's like, it's so much more than that. But I didn't really understand any of that until really on a deep level the last year of me working with Ashley and taking the time to get to know me. And I just kind of went along with what everybody said. Oh, Misty, you'd be good at that, or you should do that, or, you know, try that, or whatever. Like, I wasn't really understanding any of why I was doing what I was doing. So no wonder I was confused and needing everybody else's opinion before I do anything. I had zero trust in myself because I didn't freaking know myself, you know? So that to me is how you really understand your purpose. And what I've found specifically with women entrepreneurs, and it's even harder for women investors because real estate investing is very male dominated. And there is no programs, I would say, probably other than my own. I can't say that for fact, but there's no other real estate investing programs out there that are talking to women about what's your why, what's your purpose, like let's dive deeper than, oh, I want this many properties in my investment portfolio, or I want to make X amount of money so I can retire from my job. And what's happening is these women are going out and taking action, and it's either not turning into results or it is, and they're still miserable because they don't understand why they're doing what they're doing. So whether they're successful or not at it doesn't even matter anymore because they're still not feeling good about what they're doing because they don't even know what it is they want to be doing. And I was confronted with this when I went to a Invest Her conference in Scottsdale last May. It was amazing. I think there was close to 500 women there, all female investors. I met women that have multi-million, some multi-billion-dollar investment portfolios. Misty, I don't know what I'm doing on the day to day. I'm so miserable. I'm so confused. I have no purpose. I have no vision. I just keep buying properties. I don't know why. I keep thinking money is going to make me happy. The more money I make, they have all the money. It's because they don't have purpose. They don't really understand why they're doing what they're doing. So that after I attended that, I was already on track to create a mastermind for female entrepreneurs. And I launched it in July. And because I was like, this is so needed for females specifically. We need to be connected to something more than just a profit margin for most females. We are very emotionally driven, and men are different, you know, and that's great. And we need both. But for females, you really need to have more than just, oh, I'm going to make money in my business for it to be something that makes me happy. So that was a really long drawn out answer to your question, but a lack of purpose, I think, is a huge issue because we aren't taught how to have relationships with ourselves, to trust ourselves enough to find our own individual purpose. And I want more of that. Like I'm already teaching my daughter how to start to trust herself. And it's so important. It's just something we're not taught to do. We're kind of just like sheep. Do this, do this, do this, do this. And I get it to a point, but then we get out into the real world and we don't know ourselves at all. And we got to pick a career and we got to pick a partner and we got to have children and like what? We don't even know who the hell we are. So no wonder people don't make the best choices for themselves, you know? So if we teach them more of how to build the relationship with themselves at a young age, then when they get to that level of leaving high school or college or whatever and making these big life choices, they'll know themselves better. So they'll hopefully make better choices. And even if they don't, they'll learn more from the choices that they're making, even if it's bad. So it's the relationship with yourself for sure.
I love that answer because, I've certainly even in just career and stuff like that, it's like, oh, I think you got real good potential in that area and I'm going to train you. And in the past, I'd just be like, yeah, I really want to go for that. And then I got to a point and I was just like, don't want this. And it's just like I cut back and just started saying no more, especially when I started doing this area of work. And it was just like, you've got great potential. I see you doing that. I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to do that. It's like we're so conditioned, just to I totally agree with that I've been lost, many times, just like, all right, what do I want to do? What's my intuition or what's my heart saying? Which is a very difficult thing I found to connect to because there's this logic or like what everyone else is telling us. So I really love that answer that you said, and I'm glad you've been working with a coach. And yeah, I sometimes ask people this, and I think it'd be really fitting now. Like a lot of people, like they might want to go and do the work on themselves, which is amazing. Some people don't, and absolutely anyone's choice whether they want to work on themselves or not. But for you, like you mentioned, obviously working with Ashley, and you coach people as well. What have you seen the difference between trying to work this out alone versus working with a coach? Just if the listener's not had a coach before, just intrigued.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, everybody's different. And this actually reminds me of it was a post you made about you something about everybody always says mindset is everything, but nobody talks about like how to, I can't remember exactly what it said, but it was something about everybody says mindset is everything, but nobody teaches you or talks about how to really like work on your mindset or something. I don't know if you remember that. It was something
Oh,
you
I say a lot
posted
of
and
things.
it stuck. Yeah, you do, but it stuck with me and I was like, he's so right. Like everybody, mindset's everything, right? But okay, and give me more,
I definitely would
right?
have said
Like
that. Yeah.
if mindset is everything, then help me here. Like, so for me personally, I've had many coaches, some good, some not so good. Um, and I've been part of communities, I've been part of programs, I've been part of masterminds, and definitely having a coach, being part of a community or mastermind with very like-minded people has absolutely been like life-changing for me. I think there's a place for one-on-one coaches. I think there's a place for masterminds and communities. It just kind of depends on what you're needing and wanting at the time of your in your life. But it's so crazy. I've been working with Ashley since it was a year in December, and I was part of a mastermind the year prior to that. So when I was pregnant, I left Kaizen beginning of 2022. And I went from, I think it was February when I left, all the way till December without any coach, mastermind, community. And I had a baby in April. And holy moly, I should have had a coach or a community or mastermind at that time, because that's a big life change, right? And I was spiraling. I've done a lot of mindset work, and man, I was like, holy moly. And thank goodness Ashley kept checking in on me. And I finally said, okay, fine, like, let's do this. So we started working one-on-one together. And really the main reason was because of the trauma I had experienced with my daughter. She came early, she came very fast. It was a very scary day. There was a chance both of us were not going home. And thank goodness everything turned out. But I had a lot of trauma from that day that shoved down, kind of like what you and I were talking about before we jumped on here. We don't feel some, things a lot of the time, and we just shove it down. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. So I start working with her for the intent of dealing and healing through this trauma. Johnny, we've never even talked about it other than she knows what happened that day. What we focused on was me starting to build my relationship with myself. And that has not only healed that trauma, but it's healed childhood trauma, trauma that I experienced from having, addicts and alcoholics as parents, trauma I experienced, from just all kinds of things I'd not forgiven myself for, not forgiven others for. Like, we didn't have to go deep, dark into the actual thing. It just kind of like healed itself as I started to really understand who I am and who I want to be. And just, it's almost hard to explain. But that's why I say this relationship with yourself and focusing on that should be your number one priority. And yes, I am saying that above your children. And anybody can be mad at me, but if I'm not okay, my daughter's not okay. If I'm not okay, me and my husband aren't okay. So you got to focus on you first. But so after experiencing what I've experienced, I will always have a coach, a community, or a mastermind. And I'm actually in a transition period right now where Ashley and I are trying to determine what's best for me next. we're either going to shift the coaching that her and I are doing together, and into more of an integration type thing, or she's actually going to be starting a mastermind that I might join that. And I had a Zoom connection call with a coach that I have admired from afar for a while this morning. And she has a program or a community and does some one-on-one coaching, and then also has this mastermind. And then I have another call with another coach that I connected with at an event last Friday that I just was like, I'm drawn to you. I something about you. So I'm going to chat with her. So I'm seeing what's next for me. But finding the right coach, right? So I'm not talking to any coach that just pops up on my Facebook or my Instagram. I'm talking to coaches that I've connected with, that I've felt some energy, some shift there, that I really love the way that they talk to me and talk to others. And it's not about, oh, this coach, for me personally, it's not about, oh, I made my client this much money. And I don't care about that. I care about, I want to keep this sense of calmness in my life. I want to keep this sense of being very intentional and being very productive. And there now I want to take it to the next level in my life and in my business. Maybe I'll do that with Ashley. Maybe I'll do that with one of these other two coaches, or some other mastermind or coach or whatever. But I will always have something to support me, because I need it. Frankly, it's very important. It's changed my life. And now I see that it's not my husband's job to support me. He is supportive, but it's not my job to go to him and say, fix, 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 fix. I want to go to him and actually tell him how I've worked through things that I've figured out on my own. And obviously, if it's a joint thing that we need to figure out together, we will. But I've just seen a shift in our relationship where I think I would go to him too much and make this decision for me, fix this for me, and he loves me, and he's a man, and men are built to kind of help and fix, and problem solvers. But that wasn't good for me, and it wasn't good for our relationship. And so when I have somebody else I can go to talk through it, not tell me what to do, help me figure out what to do, that makes all the difference in how I make my decisions, how I show up in my life, in conversations, in my business, in my marriage, as a mom. It's a level of confidence that you can't achieve through having other people make decisions for you or having to constantly lean on others. I just feel a total shift in all of my relationships, my friendships, even my relationships with my coaching clients, with business partners, because I'm more confident. I know who I am. And that was through the help of working with a coach, and then surrounding myself with like-minded people that are doing the same. They're working on themselves. And so I will always have that. That is like a non-negotiable. And now it's like in our budget, like personal growth and development, that this is set aside for those things for both myself and my husband, because it's that important. I mean, investing in yourself is the absolute best and most important investment you will ever make. So
even Warren, the cliche Warren Buffett, the cliche quote, well, the cliche, but so appropriate, and the valuable comment that Warren Buffett says, the best investment in yourself. I know that's very quoted a lot, but yeah, just have to emphasize it because I couldn't agree more. I love it. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on something else as well. Thank you for sharing your coaching experience. So you went through a bit of you touched on sort of trauma, your experience giving birth to your beautiful daughter, and so fortunate that I'm so glad you've got a beautiful daughter now, a husband, and a great little family. You're mixing everything together. But yeah, for you, obviously you do a lot. So there's taking action. We talked about the busyness earlier. Are there's because some people, sometimes we can be in this spells where it's really difficult. We're in a really hard place. And then rather than other times, in terms of taking action and then taking time to be yourself and process your emotions, because when you're caught in it, it can be quite hard. Do you find there's kind of sometimes a bit of an imbalance between action and then actually feeling? Do you sometimes find it's a bit even? Yeah, just be really interesting to hear.
Yeah, I think there's definitely an imbalance at times. I think when, for example, moving into the start of this new year, I was feeling very anxious. I wasn't really sure why, and I kept, of course, shoving it down, shoving it down, shoving it down. And finally we went back to a normal schedule because my daughter was home and my husband, we were having family time. So I was just, enjoying family time, but something was kind of eating away at me. So then, I have a home office and he has an office out of our house. And so he goes to his office and our projects, and she goes back to school. And I'm like, okay, I've got to sit down and actually journal through this. I don't know what's going on, but I'm feeling some anxiety. So what did I do? I avoided for pretty much half the day. I was like, let's do laundry, let's do dishes, let's check emails, let's whatever, right? And finally, I forced myself to sit down and I journaled, and I really started to understand where that came from. And normally, I ended up taking the rest of the day to really process this. I went on a run afterwards. I like really wanted to just like fully understand what was going on, because I knew if I didn't, this feeling would carry into the rest of the week, the rest of the new year. Like it was just not a good feeling. So I'd still could be doing all the things I needed to be doing in my life and in my business, but would I really truly be productive, right? And so I took that whole day pretty much. The first half of the day was avoiding by doing silly things, but I took the whole day and, didn't do anything, if you want to say it like business wise or whatever. But man, the next day I was ready. I was like, I know exactly what's going on. I processed it, I released it. It made so much sense to me. And so since then, I have been able to like continue the momentum. But then I do have the days where there is some heavy emotion about something, right? And I do take that time to I as much as I can. I will say I have like today is a back to back to back to back to back day. Fortunately, I'm having a wonderful day. I don't need to take any time to process anything. But what I also will say is I did have something come up in my run this morning, and what did I do? I messaged it to my coach. And I said, this just came up about I'm exploring my relationship with religion and with God. And I had a major breakthrough on Sunday. So I'm actually surprised. I feel as good as I do this week. I released whatever I needed to, and I'm actually very excited to explore it. And on my run, some stuff had come up, and I messaged it to Ashley and I said, hey, this has come up. I wanted to let you know, like, and I felt great about it. And so I think even though I'm not sitting down and taking a ton of time, to cry or release or journal, I'm still little bits and pieces when I can. I'm like releasing them, or I'm sending them to my coach or jotting them down for me to. And then when I do have time, I will dive more deeply into it. But I will say, if it is something that's very, very heavy, I will make the time. I will move things around. I will, whatever needs to happen, because if I don't, I am not showing up as the person that I want to in my business, with my coaching clients, with my daughter, with my husband. Like, I don't want to be that person. And so I will move whatever I need to, because I know even if I have to reschedule something, I will show up so much better than if I were to try to do it that day. Fortunately, it doesn't happen too often, so I don't feel like it's interfering with anything, but nobody should ever be worried or ashamed or anything with taking time. I think it's kind of taboo sometimes. So just suck it up and do it. That's kind of the society we live in. And I'm not about that. I'm not about hustle culture. And I used to be, but it's just very different now. And I see the difference of when I take the time, whether it's small bits of time or a good chunk of time, to process, to heal, to release, to understand, to whatever, that's strengthening my relationship with myself. And it is absolutely making me a better person, wife, mother, and entrepreneur. So take that time when you need it. Now, there's a difference between avoiding and using it as an excuse and actually taking it to do something. And I've done both. It's
Oh.
like, oh, I'm taking a down day, but I'm not, but I'm not really like, it's like I'm not really working through the things that I intended to. And so there is a difference there. And if you are avoiding, then maybe grab your journal and dive in and go, what am I avoiding here? What's going on? Why am I avoiding whatever it is, personal, professional, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, taking that time is something that, again, like we don't do enough of. We aren't taught how to do. And so I think if we can kind of teach this next generation to lean more into themselves and personal responsibility and personal development and really understanding themselves, I think we're going to see such a shift in, I mean, there's such a high level of anxiety and it's crazy right now, and it's kind of scary. It's very scary actually, and something needs to change so that our kids are growing up feeling more comfortable and confident in living the day-to-day everyday stuff. Like, it's kind of crazy how people are so scared to do anything or have so much anxiety to do anything, and we can't just allow that to continue happening. Like, so yeah, so taking that time, absolutely 100% do that.
Yeah, I loved everything you just shared, and uh, I've kind of been on the end of just not taking a ton of process. But like we're sharing, like today, I had an emotional day. Last time we were due to speak, I did, and I just gave myself that time. Wouldn't have in the past. I think it's really important. But I also like what you said about use. You can use it as an excuse when actually it's fear of taking the action. And fortunately, I've seen that in the coaching community a lot. Like, oh, I'm terrified to speak to someone on a sales call or whatever, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm just working through some things. I'm slowly doing my website. It's just like,
Mm-hmm.
when you're lying and stuff like that. And as someone
Oh, for
who's worked
sure.
in
Yeah.
sales and coaching, you can start kind of spot these kind of things in people and patterns. So you'll know the truth. But yeah, I also think there's a beauty in not just hustling, and it's something I've had to call myself out for, and that's well, I got my coach now, so it's great. And you've got a coach as well yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
Misty, just before we sort of like start wrapping up things, I'd just be like really interested if you, what would be your number one confidence tip for someone today, maybe listening, that's really helped you develop it?
Okay. Getting curious. This is actually something we literally just talked through last night on last night's Master Your Mindset Mastermind. Um, it's something I've been doing if I have something that feels kind of heavy to dive into, like this whole exploring my relationship with God and religion. That can be freaking heavy, right? I've explored my relationship with alcohol, exploring my relationship with this, I've explored my relationship with sex, I've like my relationship with my business, like all of that can feel very heavy. These are big topics. And what does it mean? And what does it make me? And so to release or alleviate that heaviness, I'm just getting curious. Okay, if I relationship with alcohol. So this is what I did. Like, if I feel like I want a glass of wine tonight, well, why do I want that glass of wine? Is it because I just want a glass of wine? Is it because I feel like I need a glass of wine because I had a tough day? Is it just because my husband made a yummy steak and I want to pair it with some wine? Like, literally asking questions over and over and over again about whatever you're curious about. And that is how, like, it's so interesting because the reason I explored my relationship with alcohol is because I was like, well, alcoholism is in my blood, right? There's a chance I might be an alcoholic. Like, I just we're just think those things. And then when I started to explore it, I was like, I'm not at all. Like, it was so refreshing. And it was like, I have my own relationship with alcohol just because my parents had their relationships or whatever. And my brother has his relationship. That doesn't mean that makes me an alcoholic and addict. And so that then creates confidence. That creates trust. That creates something within you that you're like, okay, this isn't as heavy, or this isn't as scary, or and what it's done is helped me create confidence in myself to be able to tackle other exploratory type relationships, right? And that's because that was the first one that I did, relationship with alcohol. And then it's like, okay, well, now I'm kind of curious about my relationship with sex. Like, how do I think and feel about that? And now it's my relationship with God and religion, where I now have the confidence to do those. And it's purely from just being curious and allowing myself to ask the questions and also be very honest in my response. Oh, I do want a glass of wine right now because I had a really hard day. I am struggling with this, and that's why I want that glass of wine. Now I can decide if I do end up drinking that glass of wine or not, but at least now I'm admitting to myself why I want it and not trying to beat around the bush and BS my way through it, right? And that to me is how you create confidence within yourself. It's how you get to know yourself. It's how you understand yourself. And then it becomes easier and easier and easier to do it in other areas of your life. And this is how we also can combat those stories. So that story I was telling myself that my parents had problems with drugs and alcohol, my brother has problems with drugs and alcohol, so I'm obviously going to have a problem with drugs and alcohol. Like, that's a story I'm telling myself. Well, when I get curious and I start to explore it and ask myself questions and be really honest in the responses, I'm tearing that story apart, or I'm actually saying, no, that story is true. That's actually my reality. But instead of stories kind of running our lives and determining who we are and what we're all about, like, no, we're in charge of those stories. We can rewrite them. We can tear them up and throw them away. We can make them positive. If they're negative, we can do whatever. But you have to get curious first and then build the confidence to be able to rewrite the story or throw it away or turn it into something positive or whatever it is. So yeah, getting curious with yourself and not just going through the motions of life, but getting curious, especially if you are like, why do I drink? Or what, you know what I mean? Like, if you're asking yourselves these questions, that's coming up for a reason. So why not explore it? There's no shame in it. There's absolutely no shame in it. And it's been a total like game changer in how I approach everything. Motherhood being one of them, it's like I have so much confidence. I have more confidence in being a mom than anything else in my life. And I would have thought that would be the thing I would have the least amount of confidence in, because it's the thing I have the least amount of experience in. I haven't even been a mom for 2 years, but nobody can tell me I'm a bad mom. No, you could make any comment to me you want about how I parent my child. It will not affect me at all. That's confidence. Like, that is confidence. And doing all those other things and exploring other areas and building that relationship with myself, that has created the confidence that I have in being a mom. And now I'm trying to apply that confidence in every area of my life, because I love how I feel as a mom. And I know I can feel that in, wife, mother, or entrepreneur, just person, all of that. But I just have to continue getting curious and giving myself the patience and grace to explore it. Cool. And then just see where it takes me. So,
great. Yeah. Okay. Love that answer. Never heard that one. It's a really good, curious one. Curiosity.
I love your questions. It's really making me think. I'm like,
brilliant.
How do I answer that?
Cool. So yeah, Misty, thanks so much for coming on today. Just before we sort of finally wrap up, where can the listener find you if they want to find out more about your work?
Probably the best place is Facebook. Everybody keeps telling me to get on Instagram. I'm kind of on there, but the best place is probably to find me on Facebook, Misty Hassenstab. And I do have a website, hermindsetmattersrei.com, which has information about the coaching. But honestly, I would say if you liked what I had to say, and want to connect and just chat a little bit, just find me on Facebook, connect with me, send me a DM. And I would love to chat with you if kind of I'm speaking your language, or it's a language you want to be speaking that you're maybe not very fluent in, and you're like, this mindset, what is she talking about? I don't even know, but I like it, then let's talk, because I didn't know any of this, a few years ago, and now I just want to like literally share it with the world because it's completely changed my life. So if I can help you change your life, then I mean, that's the best job in the world. So let's do it.
Awesome. Love it. So yeah, thanks again, Misty, for coming on today. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Awesome. So that concludes our episode for today. And remember, you are in control of your own self-esteem and confidence.